Hello Gemini, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Jen with Bohemian Path Tarot, and here we are with October Tarotscopes. I've got the Light Seers Tarot here today, and as you may know, this is a general reading for a general Gemini audience. So whatever comes out is what we'll talk about. Sometimes it really resonates with you, kind of like a personal reading, but just as often there's a nugget here that really reverberates with you, and sometimes there's something that's just kind of for somebody else. Do be sure to watch the videos for your sun sign, your rising sign, and your moon sign if you know those placements. Sometimes it gives you a fuller picture. Sometimes one or more of those is like more in tune with you. Sometimes it reverberates, or one of those really reverberates in the beginning of the month. One reverberates like a little later in the month, like a predictive reading, and it kicks in a little bit later. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and give the deck a really good shuffle for you. And if you've been here before, you know I like to fast forward over the shuffling part because I like to really focus on that and not chit-chat over it. So I will catch up with you when I am about to lay out the cards. Okay? See you in a bit. Okay, Gemini, let's see what we've got for October. 9 of Pentacles, 4 of Swords, Page of Wands, 9 of Wands. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So I use this card here as sort of the main focus for this particular reading. Doesn't mean that's the only thing that's going to happen or the only guidance for you this month, but for this particular reading that I am doing for you, for Gemini, this is the main focus, and it's kind of what these other cards are centering around or speaking to. And the 9 of Wands is actually a card about needing to kind of make a bit of a defense or kind of protect yourself. It's typically a card that comes up when you've been working really, really hard, sometimes on a particular project, in a way that has almost left you unbalanced. Oh, that's a terrible way to put that. But here, let me use an example. And this isn't true for everybody or even most of you, but like as an example for someone who might be helping their daughter plan a wedding. That's the sort of thing that can kind of take over your life. And even if you have like a day job and other kids and other responsibilities to like the PTA and maybe a partner and, you know, you might belong to a bowling group, or, you know, you have other responsibilities in your life, but, you know, planning a daughter's wedding can be such a huge project for over months and months and require financial planning and party planning and, you know, so many facets that it can overwhelm and cause you to not show up in other pieces of your life. And in trying to be all things to all people, you can even suffer burnout, despite the fact that it's something that you really want to show up for, and despite the fact that you want to show up for your bowling group, and, you know, you want to be the best employee and, you know, a partner and da 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 da. That's just one example, right? So it's the kind of thing where you could be suffering from burnout for some reason, if not planning a wedding. It could be something for you. You could be a theater director, and, you know, while also maintaining a survival job, and, you know, your cat is sick and needs a lot of trips to the vet, you know, something in your life or a series of things could be requiring a lot of attention. It could be that sort of thing. But it's the wands typically indicate a passion, having a passion for something, something that you love, something that you feel attached to. If not a family member, like a daughter's wedding, a creative project like the theater director example. It can also be, a career thing that your name is attached to. Again, a theater director might be very attached to making a name for themselves in the theater world. Or it could also be, you could also be an accountant that has just opened their own accountant firm and, making their best, growing their accountant firm, even though it's not a creative field, the sort of entrepreneurial piece and building, that piece could be burning the candle and pushing the pencil, as it were. That's kind of an old-fashioned way of doing accountancy, I suppose. But you get my drift. The Nine of Wands can sometimes indicate burnout, even if you're burned out doing something that you really love, and that's about building a name for yourself or doing something that means so much for you. So sometimes when the Nine of Cups, or the Nine of Wands rather, comes up, there's a tough choice about, am I going to have to say no to something? Am I going to have to drop out of the bowling group from that first example, right? And sometimes it does mean, limiting some involvements. It does mean sometimes maybe having to say no to some things you love in order to have enough energy to do things you love more. That's one of the tricky things about the Nine of Wands, is how is kind of defending, in a sense, and you see it in this card, right? She's our central character here, if she wants to be in focus, and this camera does not love to focus. Here we go, right? Okay, so she's got a little bit of a defense, and obviously, like, it's not like the Great Wall of China. There's still little bunnies and little critters can come through, but there's still a limited defense there. It's still kind of erecting a bit of a boundary. So kind of knowing this far and no further. What are your limits? And that's the tricky lesson with the Nine of Wands, and probably a big part of October and going into the end of the year is, where do I draw my boundaries with these things that I love, and maybe people I love and associations I love? Accepting that, Gemini, as amazing as you are and as popular as you are, you can't do it all. Or at least you can't do it all well. And if you're going to do stuff, maybe that's kind of the dividing line. If you're going to do stuff, maybe it doesn't matter if you do it well. If you're going to show up, if you're just going to be, it doesn't matter if your name is still on the bowling team if you can't actually bowl with them. Like, how are you going to make some of these decisions going through the fall? Are you going to show up? If you can't show up, maybe you really aren't maybe you really aren't a team player then, and you should let some other folks, have their at bat or at bowl, as it were. And, that will free you up to do some things, like if you actually want to help pick out the bridesmaids' gifts, or, at your accountancy firm, be the boss that you really need to be, kind of freeing yourself up from certain distractions by setting some boundaries, by setting some limits. Kind of that's what the Nine of Wands is about. So of course, for different Gemini, the scenarios are going to be different. You'll know how it's showing up for you. You'll know, really, even if you don't want to set some limits, maybe where you need to set some limits, right? Maybe where you need to set some boundaries, even if it's painful to say no, or just no for right now. I'll rejoin the bowling team, you know, after January, or after my daughter's wedding, or, you know, after first quarter, you know, when my accountancy firm makes a profit, or, you know, whatever, after we get through tax season, whatever it is. I don't know anything about tax, obviously. So don't take any financial advice from me. I say this in almost every reading. I am not a financial planner. Do not take financial advice from me. Seek an actual accountant, obviously. But so that's what the Nine of Wands is about. But it's always good stuff, right? The other thing, before we move on, the other thing about the Nine of Wands is that it always comes up near the end of the sort of process. So you're almost there. Like, the end is in sight. The hardest part, this is always comes up at kind of the hardest part of, like, it's not really a battle. It's kind of an internal battle. It's like that, just pushing through through the last phase before the good stuff. And you're nearly there. But so I know it's tough. And because this is the hardest part, this is the part where you're really going to need all your faculties and all your energy, and you probably will have to say no. And it might mean saying no to your second kid. I'm so sorry I can't go to your soccer game because, you know, I have to bake the cake for the bridesmaids, whatever. I don't know these. I'm just making up scenarios, right? But it is the final push, and it's the tough piece, and in the final push, so that you have the energy to get to the finish line, you probably will have to draw some lines in the sand, and that's going to be tough. But you will be able to rejoin the tribe, or rejoin the team, or whatever it is, on the other side of whatever this project, or love gift, or whatever it is that you're working on. You know, it's just, you're near the end. You're almost at the point of completion. Okay, so you get what I'm saying with that. And interestingly, we have another 9 here, which is the Nine of Pentacles. Now, the character in the Nine of Pentacles, she looks a little bit more comfortable than the character in the Nine of Wands. She is also solitary, and by the way, I'm just using female pronouns out of habit. Traditionally, the character in the Nine of Pentacles is presented as, you know, a sort of traditional female, but whatever your gender or expression, this story here is about you, okay? So this character is kind of a self-made person. It usually speaks to an entrepreneur, or someone who has freed up some time to work from home. It's like a cottage industry, sort of an Etsy, or somebody who's maybe selling some of their wares online, or digital process from online, or doing consulting. So this could be the last push in getting, you know, your entrepreneurial business to a place where you can do it. And this person looks like they are getting it done, and very confident, comfortable in working by themselves, working for themselves. There's also a piece, it's sometimes associated with going back to school, finishing a degree, picking up a secondary degree, getting a further license to enhance a career path, to go a little further, or, you know, that sort of a thing. So this could be a situation where you are, you know, holding down a day job while also going to school, or, you know, looking to switch gears, switch career, or just kind of enhance your resume. But this could also be the artsy craftsy stuff, you know, in the example of the parent who is, you know, getting ready for the child's wedding. I mean, this can be all the artsy craftsy, you know, tabletop knickknacks and, you know, all the fun stuff you do to get ready for the wedding if you're the artsy craftsy type. I mean, this character looks like they are having a whole bunch of fun getting ready for that. And so this could speak to that for anyone for anyone for whom that scenario actually applies. That could be that piece. But we also see like the part where maybe after the festivities, the detox downtime nap, our central character here absolutely has earned a little rest. So I don't know if there is in fact that October wedding or whatever is happening. This card absolutely reflects that need to take a little break, take a spa day, even if you need to just take a half a day and indulge in a bubble bath. The Four of Swords is that having processed, mentally processed the difficult effort, and the body kind of follows suit and needs a little downtime as well. Even again, if it's only indulging in a nap, taking a long weekend, something like that. But then, following the self-care, we have this a marvelous Page of Wands, which indicates a whole new invitation, and another exciting endeavor. I don't know if it's another wedding, but it could be another creative event, an invitation to another association, party. But again, it's something else that really excites you. It could actually be the party or the event or whatever is in prep over here, or it could be like the next cycle, the next phase. Here we go again. Something you're excited about, something you're ready to take on. It's going to be different for different Gemini, right? But as we mentioned before, wands can often be about a creative project, or certainly something that you're excited about, something your name you might be attached to in terms of like your career or making a mark in your world, making a mark in the world, something like your name or your reputation is associated with, as something that gets you up in the morning, you're excited to do. And this would be kind of likely to be a new cycle, a new invitation, or like this sort of next octave or next level version. Whew, Gemini. It's hard to tell from how, I think it's going to hit different Gemini in different ways. I think for some Geminis, this is sort of one sort of event. I think for some, there's maybe a series of events or maybe not events, but potentially pockets of your life that are being spoken to here. And it's, it's sort of hard to generalize for a general audience. But definitely, just to summarize for all, there's a lot of energy that you're going to need for October. It's for exciting stuff you're super into, but it does mean kind of setting some boundary for your best success, for your own sense of success. And because this is stuff that you like, and for many of you, it's like your sort of sense of self or your identity, like your reputation is attached to some of this. You want to do a good job, so that means kind of cutting out some distractions, which means you kind of have to set some boundaries and maybe say no to some stuff that's hard to say no to. There's definitely a creative piece, and for some of you, you're making some money doing it, but for some of you, it's like the fun, like artsy craftsy stuff. There's a huge shout out here for self-care, or a reminder here for self-care. And then for some of you, this is kind of all one thing, but for some of you, like you get invitations for collaboration, or like another job, or a series of jobs, a series of invitations, especially for like gig workers. Something over here leads to like a series of gigs on the other end of it. So you're looking at a potentially pretty busy fall. Some of you are looking at a potentially very busy fall. Yeah. Whew. I'm tired just looking at this, Gemini. So, but like in a good way, right? In a good way. So long as you do protect yourself. Self-care. Boundaries and self-care. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I think you get the idea. Thank you so much for dropping by, Gemini. If you like this reading, I hope you'll consider giving it a thumbs up or claiming it in the comments below. Maybe subscribing. In any case, remember, take good care of yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.